Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Women's Wealth Wednesday. Yes, I have been looking forward to speaking with you today because I have a great topic for us today. I'm so glad that I'm here with you, and I am flying solo this evening, and so therefore there's no guest. It's just me and you, which always makes it very good for us to have this conversation. I had class earlier today, and I've got a great topic for us to cover. And I also have for you questions that were submitted earlier today. So if you are just getting here and don't know who I am Dr. Gladys David, founder of She Invests Realty and the coach for She Rises Academy, which is the real estate investing for women, the blueprint. So welcome one and welcome all. I am happy to be with you. And whether you're brand new to learning what I do and sharing, welcome. I welcome you if you're watching this on a replay as well. So here we go. I have a great topic for you. We are discussing today, we're diving into the conversation of a long and overdue topic, which is the money lies we have been told as women and how those lies are holding us back. Yes, that is exactly what we're doing. This session is called Breaking Money Myths. Tonight, I want to cover 3 money lies holding women back. You say, what, Dr. Glass? It is going to be an authentic conversation because I have found this to be true, not only in my personal journey, but in the women whom I've spoken with that are past students, the women that have become students in She Rises Academy. So let's get right into it. That's why I named it. We're going to uncover it. I want you to look at the truth behind the most importantly known lies. And I want you to rewrite the narrative, okay? I want you to stick around for the Q&A because I've got some really good questions that were submitted to me earlier today. We're going to open up to your thoughts and your experience and your questions, all right? So jump in, jump in, jump in, jump in, jump in. All right, so here is where we're going to start. Why does this talk matter? It matters for so many reasons. It matters because women are earning more than ever, but still investing less. We earn more, and yet we don't invest as much as the fellas do. There's a generational pattern of financial fear passed down. Be careful. You don't want to do that. Make sure you have savings. Why? Why do we have to be careful? This isn't about blame. It's about reclaiming a choice and confidence. That's what I teach women. I teach women confidence and the choices that they make in order for them to be successful in real estate investing. That's what I teach because it does take confidence. It takes confidence for the women I coach in residential real estate in order for them to go into their markets every day and do what they do as real estate agents. It takes confidence and courage to be a realtor, and it takes confidence and courage, probably more so because the risk is even higher in real estate investing. So yes, we're starting there. Let me give you some facts that I had an opportunity to research earlier. Women control over $10 trillion in U.S. financial assets right now. That's expected to triple in the next decade. But yet, what's really happening with this tripling of this finance that we have access to or that we are responsible for? We don't invest at the same pace as men do. So that's really something that is something I've been thinking about. I have been researching, especially in the space that I'm in. So what's really holding us back? So that's expected to triple in the next decade. But guess what? Despite having money, women still feel unqualified or afraid to make bold financial moves. Why is that? That's what we want to talk about tonight. Why are we afraid to make those moves? And it's not by accident that we're making these moves. It's not at all. It's the result in the messaging, the culture, and the myths. And today, we're here to break those myths down. And that's why I'm having this conversation with you. All right. So I hope you have your pencils and papers tonight, because I don't have a lot. That's why I said I have three. And at the end, for those that are joining me and will be coming into the studio, or for those that sent me questions earlier, I have a gift for you at the end. So therefore, stay to the end, and I will gift a gift to you and tell you how you can get your gift from me. Okay. Lie number one. You should play it safe with money. So this is interesting. Let me have a sip of my tea. Women are often taught to save and not invest. Playing it safe often just means playing it small. Risk isn't bad. It is misunderstood. See, risk management is something that we do every day. For example, I'm here in Southern New Jersey, so risk management for me is getting on the turnpike every day. New Jersey Turnpike, without a doubt, there's always a car accident. There's always something happening on the New Jersey Turnpike that prevents me from getting to my destination sooner than later. So I take a risk every day, and so do you. If you drive, you take a risk every day too. But yet, here we are told to play it small. Well, have you ever been told, just make sure you have enough money saved, or don't gamble with your money? I was told that. I'll share my own journey with you. When I was transitioning from the corporate world into the investment world full time, as you know, I've had a dual career for majority of that time, doing both. My own family members was like, I hope you're going to make it, because it's this risky. That level of conversation comes from people who have never taken risks. That conversation comes from people who don't understand that it requires some type of education to do what we do. And in my case, I had done it for quite a while and was confident that I was going to continue to do it. So therefore, I didn't have to, quote, play it safe. Okay, so it's called planning. We should always have a plan in place. We're conditioned to equate safety with virtue. Like it's a responsibility to play small. It's not cool to play small. But here's the truth. Here's the truth. Playing it safe with money is often the riskiest things you do. I'll say that again. Playing it safe with money is the riskiest things you do. Why is it the riskiest things you do? Because guess what? Why? Because inflation eats away at your savings. Have you looked at putting your money into the bank and how much you're actually earning versus, getting an ROI of 30% on your money in investing? I'm just telling you the facts. I'm giving it to you straight tonight because it requires for us to change the way we play this game with money, change the way we think, change our mindsets, or else we're going to continue to be left behind because we want to play it safe. Okay, playing it safe is no longer that. Sitting on cash does not grow your wealth. It just delays the inevitable that you need to do more. Okay, wealth building requires a strategy. It's not fear. That's not a strategy. Real safety comes from understanding money, not avoiding it. So let's be very clear about that. Let me give you a mini activity. How many of you were taught growing up that money should be saved and not talked about? I grew up in a household where, money talk was constant. Money talk was something that I absolutely had to make sure I saved it. So therefore, I made a conscious effort that when I became an adult, I will not be playing it safe. Not that I played it dangerous, but playing it safe didn't get me anywhere. And putting it into a savings account didn't necessarily help me either. But here's some of the earlier lessons in life that I've learned that I've passed along onto my children. It is a good idea for you to learn how to invest. So I remember, having savings, something called a Christmas club. I don't know how many of you out there heard of a Christmas club, but I learned early on that by saving a little bit of my money over a period of time was a form of investment. So I used to take my Christmas club money and turn it around and multiply it 3 times over. So this game of investment has always been with me. This game of investment has something that I've learned since childhood. And so it's inevitable that I was going to get into something that involved, with money somehow down the line. It would be real estate. All right. So let me continue with you. Lie number 2. This is a quick lesson tonight. We're going to run through these real quick so I can get to these questions. They are delicious. I love them. All right. Lie number 2. Let me tell you what lie number 2 is. Lie number 2 is debt is bad. How many of you out there heard or someone said to you, debt isn't good. You have to be careful. Well, let me give you 3 key points that I happen to know are true about debt. There's a difference between debt, consumer debt, and of course, strategic leverage. I look at real estate as a strategic leverage, not as debt. Wealthy people use debt to build more wealth. They don't use debt. Okay. Emotional shame around debt keeps women small. So why do you want to play small? There's no need for you to play small. Why? That's playing small is not going to get you to your destination. Let's talk about the 4-letter word we all love to avoid. Debt. D-E-B-T. Now, yes, credit card debt, with high interest rate, that spirals out of control. Absolutely. That's not the kind of debt you want anyway. That's not really the best debt you have. And yet that can be challenging, but that's not the only kind of debt. Okay. The wealthy understand that they weren't taught, no, not all debt is bad debt. Okay. So that's it. Not all debt is bad debt. So why do I say debt is not all bad? Because if using it wisely, debt is a tool that covers, that's called leverage. Okay, you're leveraging your money. It's how people buy real estate. Last week, if you joined me in my session, I think I had one of my loan officer friends, Shane, with me. You want to leverage that money that you have by borrowing other people's money. And borrowing other people's money is exactly what a loan is. So not all debt is necessarily bad debt. So, it's how people buy real estate, to build businesses and invest in education that increases your wealth building. So I used to own several other businesses besides being in real estate, and you borrow money so that you can use that money to help you get to your next step. It helps increase your income. So all debt is not bad. So the issue isn't debt. It's how we use it. That's the part that many people are not quite understanding. It's not the debt, it's how we use it. Okay? So the truth is what? Strategic debt is powerful. It's a wealth tool. It's a wealth tool that we can all use and benefit from. I want to give you an example of how you can use debt to your advantage and not to your detriment. Okay. Are you ready for this? You borrow $200,000 to buy a duplex. You rent both units out. The income pays the mortgage and leaves you with $1,000 a month in passive income cash flow. That debt's working for you. That's good debt because you borrowed $200,000 and now you're cash flowing $12,000. That's good debt. So let's get on to lie number 3. Lie number 3: taking risks is dangerous. Why is taking risks dangerous? Well, women are risk aware, not risk adverse. I'll explain. Risk is necessary for your return. Let's reframe risk as an opportunity. Okay, so let's dig into this, why I say what I say. We often are labeled as risk adverse, but that's not true. What women are risk aware. We are aware of what it takes. We think through our decisions, but somewhere along the line, we were taught that risk is dangerous. Well, That's not true either. That's very untrue. In reality, every major success story involves risk, whether it's investing in real estate, investing in stock, launching a business, or negotiating your salary. I mean, all of these are risks, and there's always an uncertainty in everything I just named. So why would we see real estate any different? Why would we manage money any differently? So clearly, come to understand, what is it? But I want you to reframe how we think. I want you to hold on to this. Risk is the price of possibility. Risk is the price of possibility. It's not about reckless behavior. It's about informed courage. So, I have a reflection question for you. I really came to teach tonight because I'm fired up about earlier today. What's one financial move you've avoided out of fear of risk? And what might change if you reframe that risk as an opportunity? I can think of myself and use myself as an example as I look back on my 17-year career in real estate investing. What it has been for me is a big stepping stone, a huge stepping stone. If I had not taken that class that changed the trajectory of the direction of my life, would I be having this conversation with you right now? Probably not. Because that big leap of faith that I took allowed me to make some decisions that impacted not only my future, but my family's future. See, to build generational wealth, it requires a certain amount of risk, but it also requires a certain amount of courage to step out on faith the way that I have. So think about that for yourself and tell me, what is that risk for you? And what did it change for you? I have 3 points I want to share with you about risk. You're not behind, you're becoming aware. I want you to be very, very aware of the risk that you will be taking. Money confidence is a skill, not a personality trait. You have permission to want more. Yeah. Because why not you? If not you, then who? These lies, they're not your fault. But know that you get to decide differently once I've shared these tips with you tonight. You get to decide. You don't let other people decide for you whether or not you get to do something or not. You don't have to wait to be perfect or debt free or ready. You just have to start. And that's what I teach the students in my program. Start. Start small is better than not starting at all, but start. Because wealth isn't just about numbers. It's about choice. It's freedom. It's peace. And you're allowed to have it all if you want to. And why not? Why not? See, I told you my talk was going to be very short with you tonight, but I want to have a Q&A with you out there in the listening audience. But here's some of the questions that were submitted to me earlier today. And I want to share with you that it is important for you to reflect on this very short talk that we're having tonight. But I've got questions that were submitted, and I want to answer as many of them as I can. And there were quite a bit, so I do have time to go through them all. Yeah, let me cover some of these here. Okay, so here we go. How do I start building wealth if I've always felt bad with money? Well, start by forgiving yourself. That's the first thing I want to share with you. Wealth building is a skill, not a personality trait. Begin with the one action, like tracking your expenses, opening a high yield savings account, reading finance book, small steps. These small steps compound to many, many things. So free yourself from thinking that, oh, I'm a failure or my credit isn't good. I can't do this. That's not true. Okay. What should I do if I feel ashamed of my financial past or past mistakes? Financial shame is common, especially for women. We guilt ourselves into everything, but I want you to acknowledge that, but don't live in it. It's not the end of the world. Mistakes are part of the learning curve. And if you don't make any mistakes, then you're not going to be able to move forward. The only failure is staying stuck. So move forward from where you are. Beating yourself up for what you have done in the past is not going to get you any closer to your goal. So just move forward. Acknowledge it and move forward. Develop a mantra, I'm going to do better this time around because now I'm going to be a better steward with the money that I have and I'm not going to squander it. I'm going to be a better saver. Pause. All right. How do I stop comparing my money journey to others, especially on social media? Ooh, social media. First of all, you can't go by social media. Let's not go by social media at all. Okay. So I want you to remind yourself, social media only shows the highlights, not the full financial picture. So focus on progress, your progress, not theirs. Focus on progress, not perfection. Your timeline is valid, and a private win matters more than a public acknowledgement of what others think of you. So please do not compare yourself. Comparison is truly the killer of success, and one person's success is not yours. Celebrate theirs, but wait for yours to come because what's for you is for you. What's one mindset shift that changed your relationship with money the most? Whew, okay, for me, I would say that the mindset shift that I had to have was as I was starting to make money in my business, that I was taking care of the essentials. And the essentials for me was making sure that the debt that I had that was not yielding me any value, like high interest credit cards, were paid off. But here's what I want to say. I value the balance in my bank account. Okay, I value it and I treat it well and I don't squander what I have. So I was able to use money intentionally and not emotionally. So here's a good example for you. When I worked in corporate and I earned those bonuses, I didn't treat myself to something nice. Actually, for every bonus that I got, I bought a property. So that's smart decisions because what I worked for all year was paying off in an asset that's going to appreciate. So I didn't squander the bonuses. Okay. So because I teach women to work their 9 to 5s and build their business passively as they steal away from their corporate job and not to quit their jobs while they still have the income. So use your income wisely. I had a couple of questions on debt and leverage. This is really good. Is there such a thing as good debt? I think I covered this earlier. And how do I know the difference? I explained that earlier in my talk, so you may want to go back and listen to it, but I'll answer it for you here. Yes, good debt help you acquire assets. A good example, I just told you, I use my bonuses to buy properties. Okay. So I got an annual bonus. So each year that I worked, I got a property. Simple. I mean, that's very simple. Bad debt funds consumption. So, and it doesn't have a return. Vacations and credit cards. I mean, those don't have returns, but real estate and stock does. So that's how you want to know the difference between good debt and bad debt. I have student loan debt. Should I focus on paying that off before I invest? I like to answer this by saying it depends and not always. So If your student loan has a very low interest rate, like 3.5% or 3%, 3 to 5%, you may benefit from more investing early due to the compound interest. It's all about balancing both of your goals at the same time. So there is no right or wrong way to do this, but if you have really high student loan payments, then that may be preventing you from getting into financing your first property. So I would say you may want to pay it down as much as you can. And if you are bonus driven like I was, then you may want to put some of that money towards that that debt to bring it down somewhat. Can you explain how the wealthy use debt to build wealth? It sounds risky. I think I answered this one earlier too, but I will answer it again for you. We use money as leverage. We leverage money, borrowing at a very low interest rate to invest in assets, real estate, in our businesses that generates us more return than the cost of our debt. It's a strategic way to use money, not a reckless way to use money. So it does leverage, help you leverage what you already have to grow your wealth. What's your take on use of credit card for business or investments? I'll be very transparent here. I actually financed one of my earlier properties by using credit cards. Now the property was only 25,000. So, but sometimes when you invest like I did, which I invest quite a bit, so 25,000, I took out a cash advance on two of my credit cards to buy it. Now, was that smart? It was when I was going to flip it. So the interest rate that I was getting on both of those credit cards was less than hard money loan. Again, if you missed last week, go back and watch last week. We talked about hard money loans last week versus private money. But yes, in this instance, it made a lot of sense for me to be able to leverage my credit cards because I was fixing up the property. Yes, it had about $30,000, $40,000 in renovation. However, when I flipped it, I was able to pay off both credit cards, increasing now the limits that I had on those credit cards. Because I didn't just pay some, I paid them off in full within 60 days. And then I was able to pay off the other loans that I borrowed to renovate the property. So yes, using your credit cards wisely could be beneficial depending. But if you want a shopping spree, sister girl, then no, that's not wise. Okay, that's not wise. I got some investing and risk questions. Let me just take a sip. I'm preserving my throat because I have to speak later on this week. All right. I'm scared to invest. What's the safest way to start? Start small. Start small with a diversified index fund or a robo advisor. You don't need everything to begin. Think long term and automate your contributions. So when I say think long term, in terms of that was stock related. However, if it's more so towards real estate, then I would say a rental. A rental property is long term with a paying tenant. And when I say a paying tenant, at market rate, not putting a relative in there and hoping for the best. That would not be long term. That doesn't always work out for the best for you. So, is it better to invest in real estate or the stock market as a woman starting out? I'm not a stock expert. However, it depends on your risk tolerance on what your appetite is. What's your risk appetite? Some people have a higher risk appetite, some people don't, and your capital and your goals. So it all depends on that. So, because stock, depending on how you buy it or use it, I'm not talking day trade, I'm talking long term. So if you buy a piece of stock over long term, that could be a good investment because stocks go up, stock prices go down, and overall, it can be safe. But real estate has a higher barrier to enter, but it can also generate great cash flow. Stocks are more accessible and they're hands off, so you can do both over a period of time. How do I know if I'm ready to take a financial risk? Only you can really answer that. You're ready when you're educated yourself enough, understand the downside, and feel emotionally stable to be able to handle the outcome. So fear is normal. Paralyzation is not. Clarity is what matters. So for me, that's what I think. It's a self-paced decision. You'll know when you're ready, when you're ready. But these are some of the objections that I handle by telling people that, fear is definitely not going to get you to your destination. So why are you feeling fearful? And if you're feeling fearful, it's because you don't have enough knowledge. You don't have enough education. Because knowledge brings on confidence, and confidence brings on wisdom. So you'll be able to make better decisions down the line. What if I made a bad investment? How do I recover? Well, remember, decisions are made, and you must be able to handle it. Every investor makes mistakes. I mean, I've made my fair mistakes as well, but I've recovered from them. It didn't kill me. Learn from it. That's the one thing. You should not be making the same mistake twice. How about that? Do not make the same mistake twice. I want you to adjust your strategy and stay in the game. One decision doesn't define your future. So be clear on why you are even doing what you're doing. If it pertains to real estate, just know that you have options. If you are surrounding yourself in the right rooms, if you are surrounding yourself in the right communities, then you'll have advisors. And advisors are people like myself who would absolutely help you in your process in those decision making. The students that I have worked with successfully, we've had some blunders, but not mistakes that they couldn't recover from. I'm proud to say that every student from 23 and 24 has done very well and continues to invest very well. Blunders you can recover from. No one has lost their money yet. And the class that's just getting started, they're off to a good start. I have some general strategy and life questions. So let's see what I have here. Where should I keep my emergency fund? Savings account or elsewhere? If you're going to keep it in a savings account, I would say a high yield savings account. And, I happen to like credit unions myself for, high yield savings account for easy access if you need it. Short-term growth. I know that that's something that I look at myself. Credit unions are great. I like credit unions because it's a community and a pooled resource of money. So that allows us to make sure that we get services that the big banks may not offer us. Avoid investing into place that you can't get to that liquid in case you need it. So I would say a high yield account would be the way to go. Okay. What's a good percentage of income to invest in if I don't make a lot? Start with what you can. 5% is better than 0%. Increase it as income grows, and the key is consistency, not perfection. Many of us think that perfection is the way to go, and it really isn't. There's nothing perfect that we do. We just have to start and be consistent with it. Okay. How can I teach my kids or younger women to break these money myths early? I'm glad you brought in the kids because I happen to think that we are living in a time where financial literacy is more important now than ever for everyone, including children. I think it's called Green Light. Green Light Savings is something that I use with my own children. It allows me to assign them chores. It allows me to be able to pay them over a period of time. And it also gives them an opportunity to learn how to earn a little bit of income while they are with me. And I encourage my kids to be in business with me. So therefore they can learn the responsibility of earning the money that I give them because they know that mommy works very hard. So therefore they can appreciate it a little bit more. So teaching children financial literacy is an excellent, excellent opportunity for them to learn early on that money is earned and not given. Okay, did I answer your question? Let me see. So I think I did. Let's see. Do I need a financial advisor or can I figure this out by myself? I think you can start on your own. I'm not a financial advisor, but a good financial advisor can help you, further and faster, especially when dealing with complex goals. Just make sure that, their fiduciaries are not commission based, that they have your best interest to help you really get your finances in order. And yes, financial advisors can be very good for you, especially if you are starting out and don't know how to really utilize your money. What's a money myth you personally believe and how did you break it? Okay, this is a good one for me because I got into investing for one reason, but it kept evolving and growing. For those of you that don't know my journey, real estate fixing and flipping is where my heart and soul is. However, I didn't start there. I started out with wholesaling because wholesaling for me was a great place. And if you don't know what wholesaling is, I'll give you the micro version of what wholesaling is. It's actually, I find a distressed owner looking to sell a property, and I buy it from him or get under contract with him or her for a discounted amount. They're distressed, and so they're looking to sell the property that usually needs some repair, but they don't want to hire a realtor. They basically just want to liquidate the property between, a private transaction. So I assign my rights to another individual who is the ultimate investor for a price. I'm giving you the very simple version of a wholesale ABC. So I'm under contract, I'm B, under contract with A, and I sell it to C for a profit. So a quick example is I'm under contract with A for 70,000. I sell my rights to that contract to C, and the difference between what I'm contracted with A and B might be $10,000. So I sell it to him for $80,000. And so at the closing table, I get $10,000 and A gets his $70,000 and C actually fixes up the property that has a value for $150,000. So that's just giving you a very raw example of what wholesaling is. So I was looking to make chunks of money at one time because I wanted to provide a very private daycare for my son with special needs. That was my initial reasons why I got into wholesaling. But over a period of time, I wanted to pay off debt. So yes, I believe to be debt free, to be successful. And that's something that I did faster than, record time because I was getting chunks and chunks of money while still working full time. So I broke it down earlier today on how to work with debt strategically, but I now use money to leverage and not for debt. Debt is good when you are leveraging it, but not necessarily to only pay off debt. It's a wealth building tool that you need. So getting a mortgage on a home is a wealth building tool, not necessarily debt with no return. What's the biggest money risk you took that paid off? Well, investing in myself. If I had not paid for private lessons and coaching, then I wouldn't be here in front of you today. So I paid very well for myself for mentorships and courses that has paid its dividends year over year over year. So it felt scary, but the return on investment was to me much better. My confidence is where it should be, and my income is exponential. So absolutely, it was worth it for me to invest in myself. And I think that nothing is better than seeing the returns for myself. And I hope you see the value of that in yourself as well. And the last question that we have for tonight, if you had to give just one piece of advice to your younger self about money, what would it be? Oh, this is a terrific question. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait till everything is aligned just properly. Starting small is better than not starting at all. And compound interest doesn't wait for confidence. That's the advice I would give my younger self. Because getting started is definitely worth it for me, and it should be worth it for you. So let's recap what we have covered tonight, because I love a good recap. So I don't want you to miss the lesson that, today with Women Wealth Wednesday, we broke down the money myths, the three money lies holding women back. So let me give you the recap. Lie number one, you should play it safe with money. Lie number two, debt is bad, avoid it at all costs. And lie number three is taking risks is dangerous. I hope that tonight we have dispelled those risks through the conversations that you and I just had today, because under no circumstances should you wait for everything to be perfect, debt free, and aligned in order for you to start your investing journey. You can start small. We say that all the time. While there are so many different strategies out here that you can learn, I want you to know that you won't learn all of them at once, but if you don't get started, you won't learn any of them at all. So take that into consideration, that it is something that I'm passionate about. I want you to continue to join me on Women Wealth Wednesday. I want you to be a part of our community. I'm going to drop it in and put it in a link here for you, that She Rises Academy is the name of the community that we are building on school. And it is a growing community. It is a community where I find that it's engaging and we are coming together as women so that we can learn and grow together. I look forward to speaking with you over the internet, over the chat line, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Women Wealth Wednesday. Good night for now.